Hello everyone, I'm Kelly, the teen programmer at the Hammond Branch Library, and I would like to invite you back for another wonderful teen program with Miss Katea, our ASL translator, interpreter. I always get those two mixed up. Well, I wanted to let you know that besides being here to tell you about our wonderful summer reading program, I came with a very special offer. I am, after all, a jinn, or for some of you, genie. That means a person, in this case, that will grant all your wishes. And I really will. If you didn't know I was a genie, shame on you. You should have been here all year. But I wanted to let you know I will only do so after I'm done with my story. So stay tuned and make sure you are ready to ask for something really important. But first, as I mentioned, we are preparing for summer reading. And so I want everyone to be aware that right now, right this moment, we are already inviting you to come join us for our in-house programming because after all, we are open again. So come visit us. This year's theme is Tales and Tales. So animal tales and, well, fairy tales, folk tales, ghost tales, dragon tales, Australian tales, whichever tales you have or whichever tales we have, we would love to share with you. Our teen programs will be Tuesdays and every other Thursday at 2:30. If you're unsure about that time, you're always welcome to give us a call here at the Hammond Library or check our calendar. So, with that out of the way, I want to tell you what inspired today's story, and that's a story that is much older than anything I've ever had here today, called 1001 Nights. I won't tell you too many of the details because I always want you to have an option to explore it for yourself, but in it a very powerful ruler has a problem with his wife. The problem is that he doesn't trust any of them, and so right after he marries them, he makes sure they disappear. As you can imagine, that's difficult for all the women in the area because, well, he really likes to get married. So one woman, her name is Scheherazade, volunteers to be his next wife because she hopes she has a way to finally put a stop to, well, his antics. I won't tell you how she does it, but it involves a story. At least one story. That's that. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, and I really am excited about that, I wanted to let you know that this story is actually about you. So I want you to just listen for a moment. You wake up and you're on a boat. You're surrounded by water. You feel it is cool and lapping on your skin. It's dark, not a terrifying darkness. You can tell that there are stars out there somewhere, but it's hard to pay attention to them when you hear the sound of the wind blowing on your boat. You can't see any land, but inside your boat you see a paddle and you see a sandwich. Luckily, it's your favorite kind, and a net. That's it. You would normally be a little sick on a boat, but today, for some reason, you're just fine, even as it rocks back and forth, even as it creaks under you. You feel the rough wood on your skin. For some reason, you're fine. At least you are at first, because now you have to decide how you got here and, more importantly, how to get back to where you came from. Luckily, the sun is coming up and you have a sandwich, so you decide to help yourself. As soon as you unwrap it, you see a bird. You didn't see it before, but there it is, sitting at the boat, looking at your sandwich. Will you share? Well, you take a bite first. After all, you don't know when you'll be eating again because, well, you're in the middle of nowhere. But the bird is watching. He's giving you the saddest puppy dog eyes for a bird. So you give him a bit of your crust, and he's thrilled. He laps it up. He actually takes the bread, tosses it into the air, and then gulps it down. Well, for a trick like that, you give him another piece. But this time, way more birds appear, and they swarm you, and you are surrounded by bright feathers. They are soft, but they are fluttering everywhere. The sound is overwhelming. It is like being caught in a tornado. And then your sandwich is gone, and so are all the birds. Not just flown away, they have disappeared entirely. Well, at least you had a bite. So you're sitting in your boat with your paddle and your net. You can decide which direction to go in on your own, but you don't really know where there is out there, what's out there and where you should go. But what you do know is that out of the corner of your eye, you have spotted something dark under the water, just beyond the waves. And you're most afraid that it has spotted you. The shadow moves under your boat. And then for a moment you think you've just imagined it. And then it reappears closer than you'd seen it before. And again, it fades away. Well, you're nervous and you cannot take your eyes off the water. You don't know where it is going to come from next. But then you hear a chirp behind you, and you turn around to see a cloud. A very, very low cloud. But just as you recognize it, the cloud begins to take form, and suddenly that cloud is a bird. And it is speaking to you in your own language, not as a bird. And you would be surprised if you hadn't woken up on a boat in the middle of nowhere. And the bird has said, "Don't look." What, you ask? Don't look. I'm sorry, what? Don't look, don't look, don't look, it says quickly, almost as if it's trying to chirp at you. Don't look, don't look, don't look. And so you close your eyes. You don't know how long you're supposed to keep them closed, but you feel the feathers again. And you feel the boat shift as though you're being pushed by a wind. Don't look, don't look, more voices chirp, but you don't feel afraid. You feel safe because somehow that cloud, or those birds, or those clouds that become birds, have decided to help you. They chirp, don't look, and it's almost a song. Don't look, don't look. And then they stop. Your skin feels warm as though you have floated right into the sun, and yet it's not too hot, but you're comforted. The birds have stopped chirping, so you open your eyes and the water has changed. It's a strange pink now, but what's most important is that shadow is gone, whatever it was. You're kind of thankful you shared your sandwich with the birds or the clouds, even if they didn't ask first. But now you're wondering, what do you do with this pink water? It is still you. So the bird pops on your shoulder and says, move towards the sun. It's warm, but you don't want to be that warm. You can tell that if you move towards the sun, you're going to be warmer, and you don't know the rules of this place. Will it be cooler later? Is the sun going to be here forever? It hasn't moved in hours, but the birds have helped you before, so you listen. You begin to paddle towards the sun. And the bird asks, what do you want? And you jokingly said to be rich, because why not? And then the bird says, rich, rich. And again it begins to chirp, rich. Move towards the sun. And you paddle, and you paddle, and you paddle. And it does look like the sun is rising. And over time, it begins to set. So you decide, well, I have to move towards the sun. That means I have to turn around. That makes no sense. But the bird said move towards the sun. So even though it seems silly, you turn your boat all the way around and begin to follow the sun in the other direction until it disappears. by now your bird friend has gone too. And you're wondering, what do I do? But then you see the lights under the water. 1, 2, and then hundreds all at once, as though someone has flicked on the stars, but for some reason they're beneath you. They are wavering in the water. They are glowing, and even though it's pink, you can see all these beautiful colors. And something creeps up to the top, and you can tell they're gems. Well, you grab 1 and 2, and you grab handfuls of gems. You lug them onto the boat, and then you realize the net. So you take the net, and you scoop dozens and dozens and dozens of gems. And now you know, well, I'm rich. Gems, I would like to note, like this. We'll take a moment from our story so I can tell you about our craft. If you have a genie like me, you won't need this. After all you have to do is ask for a gem. But if you are unlucky enough to not have a genie, you can make your own gemstones. And I'm actually going to show you just how to get started. You can pick up from our library our little gemstone templates. I'm using 2 colors here. And all you'll need is scissors, glue, and I'm using a little skewer stick. And I'm using it because this allows me to score my gemstones along the line. You see, I've already done that here. And this gem creation is really simple. You just fold along the lines and glue the tabs. Just like that, my gem is half completed. And the reason I decided to do 2 tones is because it really looks like that light is glinting off my gemstone when I turn it. If you would like to try this yourself, you can pick up your own paper gemstone craft this week from our library. That said, as I mentioned, you won't need this because, much like the you in the story, you can have all your wishes granted if you listen. So, back to my story. Where was I? I believe I was saying you were scooping up hundreds of thousands of gems, or as many as you could, with your net, and then pulling them into your boat. Your boat gleams. It is polished and shimmery. You are rich. You can feel them. You know they are real. You hold them in your hands. They are hard and they are cool. You rub them against your face and your cheeks are wet and you don't care. But then you realize you still don't know how to get home. Well, again comes your bird friend, and you are so glad. You're so thankful. The bird says, wait, follow the sun, and then you drop some gems into the boat. You didn't hear what the bird said. I'm sorry. Repeat that. And you're looking at your reflection, thinking what you are going to buy with all of these gems when you make it back home, because you will make it home. Something, something, sun, the bird says. What? I'm sorry, one more time. I know I've missed it, but then by now, the bird has flown off. So you look at your gem and wonder, well, I'm sure the bird will come back and tell me again. And so you wait for the sun, and you go towards the sun again. Something, something, sun is what you remember. Something, something, sun. But I was looking at my gem, you think. What was I doing again? You sit in the boat for a while, staring at your gems, just smiling because, well, you have a boat full of riches. But somewhere under here is your paddle. So you begin to dig up your paddle and realize, oh, I'm supposed to go towards the sun. So when you find it, you begin to paddle and paddle. You move quickly because you spent so much of your day staring at the gems, you've lost track of time. You move and you realize, I was supposed to go towards the sun, right? I think. And then you kind of call out for the birds, hey, birds, never got your name. What am I doing? But there's nothing. So you move towards the sun because that must be what they said. It must be, because if they hadn't said that, well, then that would mean you weren't paying attention, and you would never have done that because this bird has been immensely helpful and you would never ignore their advice. Probably. But then the rain starts. It hadn't rained at all since you'd been in this strange land, but then the rain is heavy and it is filling the boat, and you are panicking because you're beginning to wonder, how many gems should a boat hold? How many gems fit in a boat with a person who's also lost and sitting in the rain? Maybe if the bird comes back soon, they'll tell you what to do. But you're not even sure you're going in the right direction if the bird has been following you. Well, if they are clouds, the clouds seem to be storming now. The wind is howling. You're being splashed by the spray. You're being splashed by the rain. It stings. Dump them, you hear. You hear it. You know it is a bird. You do not want to listen because you just got them. Dump them. Well, maybe he means the oar. You throw the oar overboard because that's probably what he meant, right? Dump them. You throw the net overboard. Dump them, dump them, dump them, and they begin to chirp again, loud and loud, almost louder than the wind, and you realize they mean the gems. You just got the gems. You miss your gems. You love your gems. Your gems are your favorite thing in the world. Why would they want you to dump them? So you dump them. You still have lots of gems. You don't have to dump all of them. Dump them, they chirp. And so you dump another handful, dump them, and they keep going until you realize that you have thrown all but one. And it is really your favorite because it is the biggest. It is beautiful. It is an emerald, at least you think, but you know it shimmers the deepest green. It is deeper than the water is pink. It is lovely. Dump it, dump it, dump it. And then you dump it. And then the winds begin to clear. And then the bird appears again. Wait for the sun, it says. Wait for the sun. Wait for the sun. Wait for the summer. Well, this summer you'll have to hear the rest of the story because that's it for us today. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you at my programs. Happy reading. Bye-bye. Lost my button. Lost the button.